Okay, here's the next one of my lost, deleted videos from 2009, my deck restoration project. This is the third video. This is from June 2009. And like I mentioned before, if you're just tuning in, the first episode is lost to time. I wasn't able to recover it, but I do want to thank the person who left a comment on the last one warning me to try to get everything off of that old drive while I could, and that was great advice. So I moved everything off of that drive to a new drive, and now I can access that stuff so much faster, so much better, because I don't think there was much left in that hard drive, and it took like 4 days to move everything over there just because that drive was so slow at accessing things. So I was able to recover most of the files, and I got all of the parts of this series except for the very first part. It looks like in this episode I was just kind of showing more about how I was trying to fix these boards. I can't believe I really did that. Looking back on it now, wow, I would never have done that project today. It's just ridiculous to take all of the boards from a deck, flip them over, sand them all smooth, fix all the cracks, fill in all the holes, and then basically kind of resize the deck, which comes in some later videos. Well, one thing that's kind of fun about these is you can see that this was when I was first shooting video on my channel. I was using a Sony CyberShot camera, and it looked like it was a 6 megapixel camera. I know it shot 480p, and I must have gotten that in about 2006. So I had that for a few years before I started shooting video for YouTube. But you gotta remember, this was before everybody was shooting video on their phones. I didn't even have a smartphone at the time. I just had like a flip phone. These shots are looking up because they were shot by Wyatt, who would have been like 11 years old at the time. But man, I was just really filthy in this video. It was a dirty job, and you can see how fat I was. So it's been a couple of weeks since I've had a chance to work on the deck, but I started pulling up the boards some more, and I switched my strategy. I'm going to start sanding outside, and I picked up a belt sander. I blew out my old belt sander, and it's going to do short work of these. And I wanted to show you, here's 2 boards that I pulled up off the deck. Now these were the top sides, and this is what it looks like underneath before it's all cleaned off and sanded and the screws removed. They were just breaking off. This is one that I finished, so it's nice. The bottom surface of it is really nice, so once I get the holes filled, it's going to work out great. So here I am a couple months into this project, and I just wanted to show you the progress I've been making. You can see these boards I've got sanded down. They're just sitting there. Obviously, a lot of them are really warped. And I've got these all pulled up, and so I've got about half of it done so far as pulling up the boards, sanding them, and I'm working out a staging area over here, and I find it kind of works better if I work in a whole bunch of boards at once. I pull up the boards, flip them over, and then I go through and sand them all down. So it's coming along, and after I get all the boards sanded down, then I'll go back and fill in the holes and see what I'm going to do to fix the really bad ones. You can tell that some of them are really, really rotten, like this one here, and so I'm trying to keep those apart. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with those yet. I haven't figured out a plan. I think that's way too much for my Bondo wood filler to cover up. So anyways, that's where I am now. Alright, one of the annoying things about pulling up all these boards is that the screws are just breaking off as I try to pull them out. So it's pretty time consuming, a lot of these, but I'm just using a nail set and popping them out on one side and then just ripping them out on the other. So that's adding to all the time this is taking. Interesting things that you discover when you pull up a deck, as far as a lot of little toys and things that have slipped through the cracks, but also I've got this big tube that runs through here. And God, this thing must have been put in 30 years ago, and it's this flexible tubing, and it's already leaking. I don't know if you can see that. And so I just patched it up temporarily. But this is the water that supplies all of my sprinkler system in the backyard. So I guess it's a good thing I peeled up the deck, because what I got to do now is replace that with some PVC and put it underground and do it right.